Hey, Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. Hello, this is my first live stream for the Man to Man 360 podcast. And I'm your host, Daryl Anderson. And actually, this is the Summer Series podcast. This is the Summer Series podcast that we're doing for 2023. We're going to be doing some live streams for the next month and a half or so before we go into the fourth season of Man to Man 360. And I want to use this as an opportunity to first do some live streams and get in front of you this way, but also to tell you a little bit about some of the plans that we have for the show, for AMG, which is Ambassador Media Group, the business end of the production end, I should say, of the podcast show. And also just, I think this is just a fun way to get in front of the fans of the show and people who had not even heard the show yet. This is a great opportunity to do a little bit of that. But a couple of things I want to do real quick. First, I definitely want you all to, if you hadn't gone to before, however you found us today, I want you to go to man2man360.com. That's man2man360.com. And there's where that's our website, our podcast website, where you'll be able to follow shows, go into all the way to the first season, check out videos and everything else. It's a really cool site. I want you to go there and click on and subscribe on as many of those areas as possible. First and foremost, definitely subscribe to our podcast. Check it out first, but then subscribe to it. Anytime you rate, definitely rate a 5-star on whatever system you're using. Secondly, I also want you, depending on where you are, to follow us on Facebook or Instagram or at the YouTube site. And again, you can go to the Man to Man 360 website and do that from there. So I want you to basically do that and learn a little bit about us. I hope that you are able to follow us. And if you hadn't already been following us, also too, we go on live every week on ourspirit.online every Thursday night at 8 p.m. and every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. and every Tuesday at noon. The Man to Man 360 show comes on those channels there. So listen, I want to tell you a little bit about what we're going to be doing and how excited I am about the show and the future of the show and everything else. So Man to Man 360 started back in 2021. Actually, the podcast launched in April, but the radio show launched in January of 2021. And the guys that have been with me pretty much from the beginning, our main core, we call them the All-Stars. And these guys are Warren Meeks Jr., Brian White, and Horace Everett. And basically, these guys, we go on some really cool conversations, and whether it be debates or whatever, and we talk about all kinds of things. See, the Man-to-Man name comes from man-to-man. That's for men by men, dealing with all subjects. The all subjects is the 360. The twist here, though, is we come from a biblical worldview where we encourage, and empower men to make it in life through the power of Jesus Christ. And so that is our hope every week. I don't care if we're talking about Kanye West or, whoever, whoever the entertainer is or whatever's going on in the world. At the end of the day, we want each one of these stories and our conversations to end up and always have a biblical worldview around it, even if it's something we might be debating on or disagreeing with or anything like that. But one of the things that I'm getting ready to do now, so far we've got about 120 episodes. We did our 100 episode special show back in March. I think it was the first week of March. We had 100 episodes and we had a major celebration. You can go see that on the website as well. But from there, we've been consistent. We're every week with our show, but I want to take it to the next level as far as our growth and where the show goes and who it reaches and everything else. And so I'm going to a major conference, a podcast summit with David Shand, and we'll be meeting them down there in, I think, 1 week from today. And in that, and we've already had some webinars with them and meetings with them already, one of the things that I want to be able to do is not only grow this show, but as a result, increase the scope of who can hear us. But one of the things I learned from David Shand did a 5-day webinar on launching the podcast. Now our podcast has been up, but in this webinar he did, where we were able to ask questions and do all this other cool stuff, was that he shared something I thought was very insightful. And I want to sort of switch our podcast from what we've been doing to this thing right here. One of the things that David Chan said was that you should create an avatar. Now, typically when we think of an avatar, we're thinking about, some icon on a website or an icon on your phone or something like that. And that's not actually what he's talking about. What he's talking about is to design an avatar of the person that I'd be speaking to every week. And not for it to be wide, but to make it as narrow. And as a matter of fact, make it one person. Now, even though there would be several people listening, obviously, but to be speaking to one person. And I want to share with you who my avatar is. I created everything was fictional. Fictional, is that a correct word? Yeah, fictitious, whatever. But I want to create this avatar to be the person that I really would like to speak to. So I created the avatar of Keyshawn. Keyshawn is a 28-year-old black man, young guy. He's got an associate's degree, but he's still, making it in life and whatnot, and have things he has to do in life and that kind of thing. And Keyshawn, I chose Keyshawn because Keyshawn, he's doing this thing. He hustles and he's a smart guy and all that. But one of the things that Keyshawn looks for, and I think every guy looks for, is basically who are the guys that he gets to sort of hear from and feed from and that type of thing. Now, Keyshawn wasn't necessarily raised with a bunch of guys in the home and that type of thing, directing or teaching and that kind of thing in his life. And the podcast will sort of do that for him. And so with that, I basically want the podcast to talk to Keyshawn and whoever those Keyshawns are, and in everyday areas of life, and some of the fun stuff too. But that's sort of who my avatar, that is who the avatar is. That's who we want to be talking to. Whereas before, you might have heard in seasons 1, 2, or 3, you might have heard us talk to all kinds of guys. You might even hear us say ladies and gentlemen. Well, moving forward, we'll never say ladies and gentlemen because we're not talking to women, even though we know that women will be in the audience, and that's fine. But we want to specifically and make sure that we're targeting our conversation to this young man here, Keyshawn, and that every conversation, now we won't be saying that name on the air. You won't be hearing us saying that. But as the guys and anyone who comes on the show, whether it be some of our other guys, other contributors like Wayman Daniels or Eric Crocker, any of these guys, they'll be referencing or realizing they're talking to Keyshawn, though we'll never mention his name on the air, except for today where I'm just describing to you what's going on. So that's the future of what the show is going to start to form into. We'll still have some of the cool conversations and whatnot and everything that we normally do, whether it be with the guys or some of the other contributors or myself or whoever. But I wanted to point into that direction. The other thing that we're looking to do this upcoming season, we was hoping to do it last season, but that couldn't happen then. But what we're looking to do this season is to have some live shows basically in person. A lot of what we've done actually almost everything we've done up until now has been in some type of remote setting where, it's like a Zoom. I'll call it a Zoom. It's not really Zoom, but it's something like Zoom where all the guys are in different places and all that kind of thing. And what we want to do instead is be in one setting. So you're going to start to see that pop up probably later in the fall, and where we'll be in the same room. And I think it's going to have a different feel to it. I think the feel will be a much better feel as far as the conversation, the dialogue, and the debate, and all that kind of good stuff. So you're going to start to see more of that. I'm hoping to see more of that. Oh, and before I go any further, one of the things that I'd like to see from you is we'd like to hear more from you, get some more input from you. A lot of you do text us, text me, email me, sometimes write, and several of you do that. But I want to hear from more of you to basically get a gauge, from you on what you're liking about the show or even about specific shows. I even want to hear some of your disagreements. I think that'll be great. And that way we can, not so much that we change anything as a result, but I'd like to hear it. So maybe you can respond to those things. That makes it a little bit more interactive. And then as a result, as we do more live streams, we might be able to even have you come on to one of these things and we can have some live recordings is there as well. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So let me just explain one other quick thing, and then I'll let you guys go. But what AMG is. AMG, Ambassador Media Group, is the company, the business, the production company that produces Man to Man 360. That's mine, my business. And I started that coincidentally in August of 2008, on the 8th day of August. And so that was 888. So the number 8 represents new beginnings, because in a week you have 7 days. The 8th day is a Sunday. It's a new week. So 8 has always represented new beginnings. Actually, August is also the month of 1986, where I was born again. So to me, it was definitely a new beginning. It was my new birthday in that month. And August has always been special for me. And so I launched the business back in 2008 to do, production work and all these kind of things like that. But so this month, we're going to change some things and do some things in a really cool way, I think. At least I hope. And I want to hear from you guys. Excuse me. But where Ambassador Media Group will launch other little podcasts. There's some people we're talking to right now on some really cool stuff. There's a poetry podcast I'm looking forward to. We're sort of settling, getting all the things together to get that ready, probably for the fall, probably mid to late fall for that. I also produce my wife's podcast, at least one of them. She might be looking at a second one, I'm not sure. But the one that she does now, that we produce now, is Pink October, which we're going to probably start recording for that in the next couple of weeks for October. It's breast cancer. It's actually not the survivors, it's the overcomers. And it's a really cool podcast. If you get a chance, go to that. Go check out, I think it's podpage.com/Pink October. And that's where you'll find her podcast. And yeah, so Ambassador Media Group, or AMG, produced these shows, and we're looking to really grow that business, to do some really exciting things, some really fun things, some really cool things. There's some things one of the things I would love to be able to do, and this is a little further down the road, but some audio dramas. I did produce some years ago, and I'd love to be able to do those type of things, moving into the podcast space. But that's Ambassador Media Group and AMG. So with that, we're looking to do some really exciting things, keep you guys encouraged, and especially the Keyshawns of the world. But most importantly, I want to, because I am a believer, a spirit-filled believer, I want to make sure that everything I do exalts and honors God. And with that said, Ambassador Media Group, I'm the ambassador. I'm the ambassador. We live in an embassy. We're in foreign land, and I was sent to do a work. And I pray that this work honors God, and I pray this work is fruitful and that encourages many of you, regardless who's listening, whether it's male or female, but especially those young men that have been left out and forgotten over the years, that everybody's empowering women, and there's nothing wrong with that. The only problem with that is that no one is empowering men for decades. Everybody's in that movement of empowering women because they think that doing anything, encouraging men or anything with young men is too hard. So we just leave them to themselves. And I think that's wrong. That was the whole purpose of Man to Man 360. And also that's why I've been doing men's ministry for almost 27, well, actually a little over 27 years or so. But listen, I'm going to get ready to let you guys go and enjoy your Sunday. We'll replay this. We'll have this in our podcast this week. And I look forward to actually meeting you again next week. I hope that I can get some of you guys to come on maybe next week when we do the next live streams in the future. But we'll be doing this for the summer at least. So guys, have a great day. Appreciate your time, and be blessed.